commented in the question box, you're getting a copy of today's recording. Now, do know that it'll be tomorrow morning because it takes a little bit of time for the system to render this, but you will get a copy of today's recording. Now, if you hang on just a moment, I'll let you know when to comment in the question box to make sure you get a copy of today's slides. That's in a little bit later when that little thing triggers. So I'll let you know when that happens. All right. We've got Vanessa here as well. Welcome. We'll talk about how you can make your website work for you. And if you would like to learn anything Google, if you'll go right here to this website, those are all the topics that we can train on, that we have access and resources available for to help you grow your business. Reach out to your Google partner after you've been to this site. Let them know exactly what topics you're interested in. If you're posting or tweeting today, use the hashtag Grow with Google. Right here, you'll see this is my Twitter account. This is my Instagram account. And if you tweet or post and you use the hashtag Grow with Google, it'll let all your friends know you're leveling up your skills, but it also lets the Google team know this matters to you and it encourages them to create more, which is what I love. And also you can tag me, and if you do, I'll share you in my stories or retweets, okay? Happy to do that. So I do see Veronica here, Ebony's here. I'm excited too. I'm excited that you're here. You help women launch. Oh, wonderful. Thank you for being here, Veronica. Javel, Marianne, awesome. Sandra, currently you're not seeing your screen. Oh, well, my goodness, but that's not helpful if you can't see my screen. All right. For those of you who didn't, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you said that. Okay, so let's see. Let me go back a slide. Just so you can see, find that question box. Sorry about that. I thought that was all showing up there. Here we go. That's when I was doing technical checks. I forgot to turn that back on. Perfect. All right, this is who I am. As I said, I'm here with experience and the ability to share with you what would help you make your website work for you. All right, so let's get started. We are talking about how you can make sure that your web design and your website really is getting you the most lift that you can. Because if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. $1 or 1 minute spent on something that's not lifting your bottom line or taking you closer to your goal is $1 or 1 minute spent too much. We found out in March 2020, if you were even thinking about a website, you had to have one with a change of everything that was happening in our world. And we know that your website is the front door now. It is your first experience and that first impression. And just like any other first impression, it's lasting. Let's see, Renetta. Yes, Renetta, because you commented here, you'll get a copy of today's recording. So not to worry. Comment here, you'll get a copy of today's recording tomorrow. Remember, I said tomorrow morning, just because it sometimes takes a while for it to render depending on how many webinars we have happening on the platform. Okay. And if you can't access the handout, don't worry, Sherry. I will also send that out to you with a copy of the recording. Okay. But the handout is there. If you're looking at the control or the little control panel, you'll find it there. All right. So we know this is our front door. Are you making it easy to buy from you? Now you're going to hear me say the words buy quite a bit because I come from a strong international e-commerce background. But do know that when I say buy, I am not excluding the nonprofits. Buy is a conversion action. So I'm going to use it short for meaning conversion action. That is doing anything that you want people to do that you would deem as successful on your website. It could be watching a video, downloading a PDF, filling out the contact form, submitting their email address, completing a checklist. Whatever that is a conversion action. That is something that you see successful. That is an alert to you, letting someone know or letting you know that someone is interested in your product, service, or solution. And that is what I mean when I say buy, okay? Just because I come from an e-commerce background is the reason you'll hear me say buy quite a bit. And I know we're covering that much later. We have another webinar today, or I have another webinar today where I am going to be talking about how you can sell online with e-commerce. Here we're going to be specific. Boy, I tried to say that too fast. Here we'll be specifically talking about your website, okay? And I will try to talk slowly for the closed caption, but do know when I get passionate about something, I will get a little bit fast talking. So just let me know to slow down, okay? Lanessa, I see you're here. Passion, absolutely. No worries about having to put your email address in there. It's picking up what you registered with. All right, so we'll send a recording again after Probably tomorrow is when it will render, but if it comes earlier, you'll be pleasantly surprised. So when we talk about web design, we look at graphics, what you see on the website, whether or not it functions. Is it easy for somebody to buy from you, for them to complete that conversion action? We look at the layout, that content, and then of course, colors and fonts. A lot of times when we talk about web design, people think that it's just colors and fonts and graphics, but it's so much more. A great website needs to be goal-oriented. What do you want your website to do for you? If you're hoping just to get more business, then while hope is wonderful to have, it's a poor strategy. And we don't want to just hope to get business with our website. We really have to have some strong, focused goals of what we want our website to do in order for it to work for us and do the heavy lifting we're expecting it to do. We also want to know that it's search friendly. If people can't find you, if they don't know you exist, they can't do business with you. So it's really important for you to know the answer to these 3 questions. Number 1 is when someone knows your name and they know that you have a product or service that can help them, how are they looking for you? Do they go on Facebook, Instagram first? Are they on TikTok? Do they shout out on their Facebook feed that they need a recommendation? Do they Google it? Where do they go? All right. The second thing to know is if they don't know your name, but they know that there's a product or service that can serve them, how are they searching for you? It is really important for us as professionals in our industry, and whatever it is that you do that you want people to come to do business with you, you need to know and be an expert on your customer. Learn how they search. Know what matters to them and what are the key parts that they need in their decision journey. Then, is it convenient? We make it easy for people to do business with us. We'll talk more about that. Is it organized? You will find, I didn't put the poll up here like I normally do, but you'll find the number 1 reason that people will leave a website is it's because it's disorganized. A lot of people treat the home page of their website like it's the junk drawer. Oh my gosh, we've got this new special, new product coming in, new person's coming here. Oh, I've got to tell them about the latest. And we dump it all on the home page and we send people to that home page. It's disorganized. It's a mess. It's too much. It's crowded, and they leave right away because there's plenty of other competitors who can make it easy for them to buy from them. And then of course, is it trustworthy? So let's talk about a goal-oriented website, all right? And if you want a copy of today's slides, make sure you do comment also in the question box. Let me see, is there a link to sign up for the second webinar? Alan, there is. You'll need to go to my website to do that, but we'll talk about that at the end, okay? I don't want to try to bring that up in just, but I will let you know where you can find that at, okay? Absolutely. So let's talk about a goal-oriented website. What do I mean about that? By that, why does your website exist, okay? Does it exist to build your brand? Is that why you have your website available? Is it to generate leads? Is that what you need it to do? Do you have a lead form in there? Are you encouraging people to be able to self-qualify themselves, maybe with a checklist? Is it to make sales? Or maybe it's to re-engage customers. A lot of times, 84% of customers who did business with us before, who were amazed by what we did, never do business with us again. Not because they weren't amazed and super pleased. It's because they forgot about us. We have about 12,000 messages sent to us on any given day, all over from all different kinds of platforms. And they forget that you provided something to them if you don't stay engaged with them. So is that the purpose of your website? Or is it to build your employer brand, to attract employees, or maybe provide support to people, some how-tos and how to use your product or when your product's best to use? Really understand what is the purpose of your website. So right now, shout out in the question box, what is the purpose of your website? Why does your website exist? And how do you say, or what is it that needs to happen on your website that you measure it's been successful? Part of that is knowing who your audience is. Let me see, perfect. Yep, just comment in there, absolutely. So some people are saying build their brand, secure more bookings, generate traffic, lead generation, inform. Some it's to build up your brand too, to really position yourself as an expert. So there's a lot of personal branding or business branding happening there. E-commerce, generate leads, awareness, generate sales, sell products. All right. So understanding who our target audience is important. Now, I have sat across from many small businesses who will tell me, Maria, I can take care of anybody, everybody, and somebody. That's the kind of business and product and service I have. And I always tell them, if you're looking for anybody, everybody, and somebody, you'll get their second cousin, nobody. It's too wide. You do not have Coca-Cola type money to reach out and touch everybody. That's what it would take to be able to get anybody, everybody, and somebody. Can you serve them? Yes. But who's the target audience? Who's the audience who gives you the most pleasure and profit? We've all worked with clients who take way too long. We have to resell them every single time to convince them again. They don't pay their bills on time. They take a long, long time to bring everybody in, the entire family, for a decision-making process. And at the end of the day, we wonder if we made a couple of bucks or lost money on the whole deal, right? Who's the customer that gives you the most pleasure and profit? Talk to your top 10 customers. And if you don't have customers yet, talk to the top 10 or people that you know who are the top 10 of competitors and find out who they are. Where do they spend time? What are they interested in? How do they make their choices and decisions to do business with a company like yours? It's really important for us to understand that, because now we can laser focus our message, and that will help our website perform much better. If it's lost to everybody, then you're just speaking in generalities. But if you're super specific and I'm your target audience and I see your website, I think, oh my gosh, they get me, they understand, and I am more likely to do business with you because we're starting to build a trust and rapport, and people will step over money to do business with somebody who understands them, listens to them, and can provide them what they're looking for. Okay, so it's really important for you to know who your best audience is. Who's the audience who gives you the most pleasure and profit? Everybody else that you get, if you get all of them, your business is great and doing well. If you get others who don't fit that target audience, that's just gravy. Go ahead and service them, but that's not who you're messaging on your post, on your website. Anything that you're doing, you're messaging for that specific best customer that gives you the most pleasure and profit. Now, for your website, you have to have SMART goals. This is really key. And SMART goals stand for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. And the reason this is important is because a lot of times people will set goals and they're just floating generalities out there. And I will tell you, if your goal does not pass the SMART test, all five, it has to have all five, specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, then it's going to be hard for you to lift the bottom line and to be able to get to your goal because it's too general. Be really, really specific, okay? In this instance, you see this, they want more website visitors. They like to generate more in-store purchases. Do know, if you have a local business and people walk in your door to do business, that not having a website is not an option anymore. People go online to check if you have the product, your inventory level, your hours of operation. They want to know this because they're making a very conscious decision to get out and to go to your location. You also want to know how you'll measure success. You've heard me say this before. It's a mantra that I wish every small business owner would truly take and live, and that is, if you're not measuring, you're not marketing. $1 1 minute spent that's not lifting the bottom line or getting you closer to your goal is $1 or 1 minute spent too much. So it's really important for you to know, what are you measuring? What matters to you? And part of what can help you do that is Google Analytics. Let me go to this slide, and I see some questions are here, so let me go over these questions here real quick. Let's see. Hello, Colleen, I see you. All right. Yep. Let me go down here a little bit. All right. Just making sure I haven't missed any questions here. Brand awareness, wonderful. Awesome, you're building your website passion, that's awesome. So this will help you and you won't get into any bad practices already. You'll be ready for the search engine to see you. Grow your brand. No worries, Katie, no worries. Absolutely, all right. So I'm glad you were asking there, and you're going women shoppers, retreat seekers. Oh, you already know your target audience. See, that's awesome. Now, how many of you are using Google Analytics? Let me know in the question box. Yes, I'm also covering keywords and search engine optimization. Absolutely, Kimberly. But this is important. I will tell you, if you don't have this foundation, you're going to look at hundreds upon thousands of keywords. This is foundational. I see a lot of people who will ask me, Maria, I need to know what this is. And what they're basically asking for is a silver bullet. And what you're doing is you're looking for that quick fix. You need this foundation, or else your marketing is going to be built on shifting sands, and you're going to spend a lot of time, energy, and money and waste it actually if you don't have this. So Google Analytics, let me know if you have Google Analytics. Yes, Google Analytics is amazing. I like to go in there to see who the best customers are, where they're coming from, understand what content they're looking at, so what pages they start with, what pages they drop off on, what page do they go to next, do they go to my competitor's site after they leave my site? I look at all of that in Google Analytics. What search terms are driving them there? Which actual channel is bringing them there? I may feel like a channel is doing well, but I want to know by the numbers that a channel is actually bringing people in, that they're staying, and that they're converting. So not just visiting, but they're also converting. So you can evaluate those channels here too. And if you don't have Google Analytics, go here to this website and you can get started with that. We have a whole other webinar about that, about how to make better business decisions with analytics. But if you'll take a screenshot of this, because you'll get the slides tomorrow again, because you've commented in the question box. But do know you can go here and you can get started connecting your property. I encourage you to do this first, because you're going to hear me talk about the Google Library, Google Search Console in a moment. And I highly recommend that you connect Google Analytics first. And when you go to Google Search Console to connect and verify that you're the business owner, it will already see analytics are there, and it will now allow you to connect without having to go through a lengthy verification process. So I encourage you to set this up first. What Google Analytics does is it does let you measure what people are doing on your site, and it lets you know whether or not your site's doing well, how it performs. This is really key, because if you were at a physical shop and people came all day long and went to aisle 1 and aisle 3 and then left, never bought a thing, but then they came in the afternoon and went to aisle 1, aisle 5, and aisle 3, and they all bought, you'd like to know what's on aisle 5 that makes it different. Is it the people in the afternoon? Is that when I need to show what I'm actually doing to people? Because more of the people that can do business with me will actually be available and looking in the afternoon. Now, do you know that Google Analytics did change to GA4, but I still highly encourage people to have both, so you can migrate over, and we can talk about that more if you'd like towards the end, since this isn't really about Google Analytics, but I do want you to encourage you to make sure that your website is connected to Google Analytics, okay? All right. Now, some reports that you can get from analytics. I love this. You can see what's happening in real time. For example, if I launch something on Facebook right now or Instagram, and I had a call to action of go to my website and take a look at this new product. If I just launched that, then in real time, I'd like to see if it's driving people to the site. If I just sent out an e-newsletter and was doing some email marketing, if I was doing SMS, text marketing, if I had an ad running and it just launched, I'd want to know that. I'd also want to know what actually on our website is helping make conversions. Remember what I said, conversions are whatever you deem a successful action on your site. Acquisition, where are they coming from? I love to look at this report, the source medium report, to see exactly where they're coming from, so I can spend more time in the channels that it makes sense. And then also the behavior, what are they doing? What pages do they go to in your website? So you can see an example of what this report looks like. We can see here in the report snapshot exactly what real time is happening. We can see exactly how they're acquired, what they're doing on the site, and then also the demographics. Maybe I think my best customer is 16 miles away, but then I find out they're actually in another state, and that's who's coming to the site. So I need to know that, because again, I want my content, and that's video, photos, and text, to really resonate and speak to the customer who will say, oh my gosh, they get me, okay? Another tool you can use, hello Elias, hello, is also Google Optimize. You can get there by going to g.co/optimize, and it works well with analytics. Now let me tell you a little trade secret here. Google is the #1 search engine in the world because it has reliable information. 99% of the world searches first on Google. #2 is YouTube. YouTube is the second search engine in the world, and it's also a social network. It's the #2 social network in the world. Both are owned by Google. So it is very, very important as a business for you to understand how search works in Google, since it owns the top 2 search engines. And one of the ways you can do that is to integrate all of the Google tools. If you have Google Ads running, Google Analytics, Google Search Console, Google Optimize, and you link all these together in your free Google site, If you link all of these together, it now confirms to Google that you are actually a business and that your information is correct, because the information is showing here in analytics, and I can confirm it in ads, and it can also confirm it in optimize, and it can confirm it in Google Search Console. The more tools that it can confirm it with, the higher you show up in search. They all work well together. This is really important for you to know. And these are all free, by the way. Everything that I'm talking about today is free. So let's talk about a great website. Absolutely. Let me see if there's any questions. Are there Google website developers for hire? Yes, Stacy, there are. We'll talk about that at the end, but you're going to look for people who are Google partners. Now, this is not Google community partners, but Google partners who are web developers. That means they know and understand and actually have certified and tested that they understand exactly what the search engine needs to make you most visible. All right. And how do you get to Google Analytics? Absolutely. Let me go back to that. You're going to go right here. Oops, one more slides. Right here to g.co/analytics. And okay. Help me track e-commerce store, for example, store built through Shopify. Oh, we're actually talking about that in the next webinar is how to sell with e-commerce tools. But yes, you can actually connect Google Analytics. In fact, I have 14 Shopify stores, and I have all Google Analytics connected to each one. I wouldn't be able to do business without Google Analytics. All right, and that's 100% free to have Google Analytics. All right, we know people are searching. Okay, let me see. You can't see the slide? Still can't see the slide? Just make sure if I'm in your way, everybody, and you can't see the slide, just move the box with my head in there. You can, but I should be to the side. Would somebody just confirm that? Okay, perfect. Thank you, Kimberly. All right, so we know people are searching. You need, SEO help. Absolutely, we'll talk more about that too. Perfect, I'm glad you can see it now. So when people are searching, let's talk a moment about that, because this is important for your keywords. When people are searching, when they search, a search result page comes up with 10 organic search results. Understand that people do not look past the first 30 searches of an organic Google search. In fact, I will challenge you even more, because there's a going joke of where do you hide a dead body, and it's on the second page of Google because nobody looks there. You truly need to show up in the first 10 organic searches. So every page comes back with 10 search results. That's 3 pages for 30 searches, but I'm encouraging you to show up on page 1. And the more you can show up on page 1, let's say it's your website, then it's a blog post that you did, it's your LinkedIn profile or your LinkedIn page, business page, your Facebook business page, another blog you wrote, or a Google site. If it's all about you, you have really solidified that you are an expert at your field. If you do not show up at all in the first 30 searches, people consider you've closed business in 2020, it was over, and you are not an expert at what you do, because you have to show up right there. They're expecting that, and they are only looking at that first page. You'll see that your Google business profile is right there, has high visual real estate to get noticed and to be seen, making sure you're visible. People can't do business with you if they don't know you exist. So this is something that you can do, and we have an entire webinar on that. The first results are usually photos. That's Google Shopping ads. That's a paid position. A text ad is also a paid position, and there's usually one on an organic search result page at the very top, and you'll see it denoted by a little green square that says ads, and then there are 10 organic search results. Now, what's important for you to know, your website, doesn't matter anything that you do SEO-wise, if your website does not load fast, people are not going to stay on your website. Your website needs to load on 4 seconds or less on a mobile device, 4 seconds, or you will lose 53%, over half of your traffic. So you could be working your butt off on Facebook and Instagram, putting out ads, writing blog posts, doing email marketing, driving them to your site. And if it takes longer than 4 seconds, they leave, over half of them. And then every second afterwards, another 10% leave. That's a lot of people leaving. And it's important for you to know that the first thing they're going to make a decision on is how fast it loads on a mobile device. So take a good look at it, because I've worked with a lot of Shopify themes, for example. If you're doing e-commerce, and I love Shopify, it's nice and easy. There are some beautiful themes there, but there are some themes that take 3.9 seconds to load. 3.9, that's before you put any video, photos, content, product on there. So imagine what that's like once you do that and how slow it takes to load on a mobile device. Measure your theme. It's important to do that, and I'll show you how to do that. Also, useful content. What matters to your reader? Remember what I said about you need to know when people are searching for you, when they know your name, your product or service, when they don't know your name, but they are aware of your product or service. But you also need to know if they don't know you exist and they have no clue that there's a product or service that can serve them, how are they searching for you? Know those words. That's really important. And then have text links on your site, because this will help you measure what people are more interested in. No one wants to read on a nice 4.5-inch, 5-inch screen. They don't want to read paragraphs and paragraphs. They want to see real quickly what needs to happen, what they're interested in. If they want more, they'll click on it and it will signal to you in Google Analytics that that's something that they're interested in. You also need to look at your page titles. So this will help with search engine optimization. Are you matching what people are looking for? The number one thing in Google's algorithm that Google decides what shows up on an organic search result is relevancy. How relevant, how well do you match the words that people use when they're searching for something? So remember, it's not just words, it's phrases. It's, hey Google, hey Alexa. I said this yesterday's webinar and somebody said I activated their Alexa when I did that. But whenever they say something, it's a complete sentence, and know their words, not what you think. Really know their words. Remember what I said about being an expert in your customer. People who did tech support found out during the whole pandemic and lockdown that people don't search for tech support. The number one search phrase that people were looking for is, I hate my computer. They were saying, hey Google, I hate my computer. I need help. So know what people are using, not what you think, because if you're not matching what they're looking for, you're not relevant. Information architecture is also something to take in mind. Remember what I said about people going to disorganized websites. How fast it loads, whether or not they can find things easily, all determine whether they stay and really give your website time to do the work that it needs to. And it needs to look good on all browsers. This is really important. Now, how many of you know that you can make sure that Google sees you by entering your site into Google's library? A lot of people believe that Google is the World Wide Web, and Google is not. In fact, it's the biggest library of the World Wide Web. And like any other library, books have to be entered into there and then they're categorized and cataloged. Googlebot is really good about finding things. So a lot of small businesses I see rely on Googlebot to find them. In fact, I will hear them say things like, oh, I'm not showing up in Google search yet. And I will ask them, well, did you enter your website? And they'll look at me like, well, I posted it. And they expect Googlebot to find it. Googlebot's great, but I don't even want to lay a chance to that because I'm all about cash flow. You know, as a small business, getting that cash flow going is important. There's no time to waste. And I want to make sure Google sees me as soon as I'm ready for Google to see me. So you can do that by using Google Search Console. That's the door to the library. All right, let me see if there's any questions here where people are asking questions. That's where they're asking, you're in the right place. And remember, when you're typing in the question box, only I see that. You might have missed that at the very beginning. I don't believe in having a price list on your website. And you may not. Some people, you know, again, it just depends on your strategy and who your customer is. What do they need to be able to make a decision? Let's see. Google Search Console, where's the link to that? Oh, coming on next, Janet, couldn't have positioned that question better. So Google Search Console, again, you can get there on a mobile, but it is where you can make sure Google indexes you and they see every page of your website. It's also where you can remove old websites. It's where you can make sure and see whether or not your site is mobile friendly, because also that is something that determines where you show up in a search. If your site is not mobile friendly, and if your site is not secure, if you don't have the HTTPS, that's secure on it, then it doesn't matter what you do on your website. You won't show up in the first 30 searches because Google penalizes you and puts you lower in search because you're not mobile friendly. When I say mobile friendly, it means you can look at your website and read it on a mobile device without pinching and zooming or swiping side to side to finish the sentence. That's mobile friendly, and of course secure. So Janet, just like you were asking, you can get to Search Console here, going to g.co/search console. Remember what I said, if you already hook up Google Analytics, when you get here, this process will just be easy. It will recognize that you have Google Analytics and it will say you're the domain owner and you'll be able to move forward, okay? But here you can now update your sitemap and make sure Google sees every page of your site. In fact, if you want to hang with me for a little bit, everybody, at the end of this, I'm happy to show you what Google sees in the library already for you. I can show you that if you want to stay after. All right, now let's talk about, is your website responsive? how you can check. Remember what I said on a mobile device, you want to make sure that you don't need to pinch and zoom or swipe side to side. If you use Google Chrome, for those of you who don't know, Google Chrome is built for small business and marketers because it has a lot of information laden in there. So if you go to Google Chrome and you right click on there on your actual site, then you're going to go down here to inspect. And what will pop up to the right is a bunch of code. Unless you read code, this is gibberish to you. But you're going to look here to this toolbar and click on what looks like devices, little devices, a tablet and a mobile device. Click on those little squares or rectangles, and then it will show you no matter what device. You can look and see what it looks like on a Surface Duo, on an iPhone 10, on a Samsung S21, on what it looks like on a tablet, iPad, and laptop. You can see your site. You don't have to find somebody who has that device, okay? Make sense to everybody? All right. Sign up for analytics, then console. Yes, I do. Sign up for analytics first and then search console. It just makes it easier for you to be able to connect the two. Okay, good questions. All right. Yes, you will, because you've commented, Sandra, in the question box. You'll get a copy of this. Are placing many paragraphs of words being wordy on your website important for Google SEO rating? If they're relevant, if they're keywords, and they're readable by the user. The user experience is the #1 tool that Google actually does measure by, and the algorithm, or the #1 thing that Google measures. Let me talk about that a minute, because I talked to you about relevancy. Relevancy is important to the algorithm, and understand when we measure relevancy, your relevancy score, there's thousands of things that come as a part of that. There are different components, but there's relevancy that fall under the relevancy score. The second is prominence score, that has everything to do with the quality of your site. Is a great user experience? Is it something, when was the last time you updated your site? Do you have video on your site? Do you have reviews on your site? Do you respond to your reviews? All of that has everything to do with your prominence or your quality score. And both of those weigh super heavy on where you show up on search. The third item of the algorithm is distance. How far are you from the person that's searching? So even though you may be miles and miles away from the person that's searching, if you're strong in the other two, relevancy and prominence, you still could show up in search. But if you have all three, you're in a sweet spot. As long as you are strong in all three, now you're going to show up every time, and people are going to see you as an expert at what you do, or the business or the product to get. Now, do know that people are looking, and they're looking absolutely at inventory. So it doesn't matter whether or not you're local, people are still going online. To give you a quick story, my 83-year-old father, when his chair broke, he was looking for this brand, and he went online first. You know, he's 83. It's not just generational. He went there, he looked who had the brand locally, he read their online reviews, he saw who delivered locally, and that's who he did business with, okay? What you are looking for is your website easy and convenient? Again, we talked about responsive design. Does it interact with you well? Is it easy to make payments, or is there a process? Is there a big pop-up blocking everything? Is it convenient to do business with you? So it's not just the on-site website experience, but it's the in-person offline experience that all measures in whether or not somebody will buy from you. So as we talk about responsive design, this is what I'm talking about here. Are you thinking mobile first? When I talk to design teams and they have limited time and budget, I tell them to build for mobile first, save desktop, laptop to later, because 78% of the world is going to the mobile device first when they search online. Then you can put different grids, different graphs, make sure that it's really accessible to people, and it is talking about something that is relevant to your best target audience. You want to make the payment process simple. I encourage a lot of this. I see this now because I am in the e-commerce business, that people are looking for Afterpay, Klarna. They're looking for payment where you can pay right up front, but now it's split up into 4 payments and they don't get a credit hit. So they see that quite a bit. People get very frustrated when they're checking out, and you make it so they have to sign up for an account. Give them the option to check out. So offer guest checkout and make it super easy. The less steps, the better. You'd like for them to buy from you easy. Make it nice and easy to buy from you. And then also, you can now put products and services to recommend in your website. I encourage this. When I send people through a checkout process, I actually put reviews on there. I customize, and you can do this in the Dawn theme of Shopify for those of you in e-commerce, but you can go in and you can put recommendations. You can suggest other products, upsells. This makes it nice for you who are not using or doing this for e-commerce. It could be maybe they sign up to be a volunteer for your nonprofit. Now you can talk about how they can easily make a video and invite 10 of their friends, And wouldn't it be fun to have this whole event where you get together, you're all working towards the same goal, and here's how you can friend raise, so they can download a PDF. So you can make it a process that really helps to solidify them as a volunteer or a donor, okay? So let's talk about building in convenience, but before I do that, let me go here to the question box. Absolutely, you're going to get a copy of all this tomorrow. So because you've commented in the question box, do you suggest not using pop-ups? I suggest you being smart on pop-ups, Ellen, okay? What are you giving them in the pop-up? What's the value for the person who is looking at your site, okay? And why would it matter? Are you showing it at the right time? Some people accost people with pop-ups. They just come to your site. They haven't even decided yet whether they like the site or not, and that pop-up's right in their face. Some people don't like that. On mobile, a lot of times they want to slide in. They don't even want a pop-up. They want it to slide in from the side, because sometimes, depending on the device screen, a pop-up can cover the whole thing and you can't find the X to get out of it, so they can't buy from you. I've actually worked with businesses who've done great promotions, really something that customers want, had it come as a pop-up, so people were ready to buy and they couldn't close it. It just covered the whole screen. So a lot of times they'll slide in on mobile. Again, it depends on exactly, who your customer is and what value you're providing to them with the pop-up. And then also, do you provide curbside delivery, fast, flexible? Are you mentioning all of this on your website? Do people really have all the information that they need? If you're unsure what to put on your website, think about what are the top 5 questions that people ask when they first start doing business with you or making the decision to do business with you, and make sure you answer those top 5 questions on your website. If it's pretty in-depth, maybe you post a video with you answering that question too. Now, you heard me talk about the 4 seconds. This is how you test your site. One of my best tools that I love using in Google is knowing exactly how my site is loading and how fast on a mobile device. You'll go to g.co/test-my-site, okay? Once you go to this site, what will happen then is you will enter your website address, and it will let you know whether or not your site, or how long or how slow your site is, and whether or not it's loading quickly. It will also let you know what's slowing it down. And if you connect it with your Google account, either your Gmail account, a free personal Gmail account is a Google account, you're golden. You can connect with any of these tools. You don't have to have the paid workspace, or you can just start a free Google account. And then what happens is when you connect that, you'll actually get an email report letting you know what's slowing down your site and how to fix it. So I'm definitely not tech support, and I'm not a web designer. I send it to my son, who actually web designs for our company, and I send it to him and I said, here, fix this. That's my tech support. But you do have that available to you, and you can test your site as many times as you like. In fact, I encourage you to do that anytime you change anything on your site. Now, is your site fast then? You need to know this. Is the experience personalized for your best customer? Remember, speak to them, get hundreds of them. Everybody else is gravy. And is it a good experience? So it's important then for us to talk about the next area, which is to make sure your website is organized. Does this work with Google Maps and business? Are you talking, I'm sorry, test my site? The Google business profile already loads fast. We already know it, so it doesn't test on there. It will test if you have a Google site, like a free Google site, then you can use that URL and it will test for that. Do I connect my website to Google Analytics from my Shopify website or from my Google Analytics site? You would actually do that from Shopify. Shopify has it where you can walk through and step through and connect the two. So it'll actually walk you through, and it's a fill in the blank. So you can do that too, Janet. Any links on hands-on tutorials? Oh, absolutely, Raj. I'll share that at the end. Great question. All right, so information architecture is how you organize your site. So for example, right here, you see what most sites look like. They have this. These are some of the basic pages of a site. But when you have information architecture, when you really apply it, it's knowing that best customer and what they need. So if you have, let's say, for example, a jam store like Trade Street Jam, and you have products, maybe they don't want to just look at all the jams and look at the gift cards and hot sauce all together. Maybe you want to create a page for the jams, the hot sauce, and the gift cards. So organizing your site means that you want to have a list of your website pages there. You want to have a clear call to action. Let people know what they need to do next on that page. It's not because people are stupid, it's because we're busy. Remember, messages, email coming in, text coming in. Now we're getting a ping from Slack. All of this is happening we want them to be able to come back to us and know what they need to do next. So you do need to have calls to action on your page. You also need to know whether or not the visual elements are speaking to your brand. Are they supporting it? Are they your brand? Because that's important too. There's a reason that we know the golden arches when we're going down the freeway, we know what they mean because we're used to that color and that shape for the brand. So we need to also optimize. You heard me talk about Google Optimize before. I use Google Optimize to test things. For example, if I think, okay, is the call to action buy now or learn more? Which one works better? So I might do an A/B test, and for free I can do an A/B test using Google Optimize, and it'll let me know how it performs. Then I can decide what to actually keep on my site once I know what actually is driving in the conversions, right? So information architecture helps you organize your site, and you can see some things here. But for you, start brainstorming what are relevant, what's important, what are your ideas to make it easy for people to navigate and to do business with you. So one of my absolute, okay, so I told you Test My Site's an important tool. I love the door to the Google Library, Google Search Console. But my favorite tool, the unsung hero that most people don't know about, is Google Trends. Google Trends is where you can find out about those keywords you were asking about. You can find out right now what people are searching in your community, around your industry, around your business, around your competitors, and what's driving eyeballs to them. It is something that I love to look at every day. In fact, I looked at it twice this morning already to see I have a listing competitors up, and I want to see what people are finding my competitors with, because I am a strong believer in the thought, fish where the fish are. It really takes a lot of tremendous time, energy, and money to get people to look over here when they're already over here looking. It's much better for me to go over here. If they're talking about how can I make sure my website shows up in the first page of Google, then I'm going to be over there instead of me trying to go over here saying, hey, do you guys want to know this? I'm going to go where they're at. For example, we were working with a veterinarian in Corpus Christi. He found out that in Corpus Christi, the topic people were talking about was cheap veterinarians. Cheapest veterinarian in Corpus Christi was actually the search phrase. He's not the cheapest, but what he did is he put a blog post, a Facebook post, Instagram reel, and even a video on YouTube all about the fact that we're not the cheapest veterinarian in Corpus Christi, but we treat your pet like family, and these are the 5 reasons why. So he made bank on the fact that that's where the eyeballs are. Let me get some of them looking this way. You can do that with Google Trends. You can also take a look at what's trending on YouTube. You can put it around your business, and you can get as quick as the last hour, the last 4 hours, the last 30 days since 2004 when Google began. You can expand and contract it as much as you like, okay? Then you also want to make sure that your website is trustworthy. So let's take a look at any questions. Okay, I think we're good. I got questions. All right, good. Oh, gee, okay, so the Google Trends, is that what you're asking about, Google Trends? You can get there by going to g.co/trends. Is that what you're asking about? Just let me know in the question box, okay? So right here, if you want to take a snapshot of that, I'll get my pointer out of the way. All right. Google, is your website trustworthy? This is what I mentioned about the fact that you need the HTTPS. You need that S because you want to show up high, have every opportunity to show up high, and you won't have that if you're not mobile, responsive, and if you don't have security on your site. And you also want to show that you have secure payments. In fact, I just did an A/B test on one of the sites and found out that you have to have even the PayPal trust icon and the Shopify trust icon on there. That's actually what made people more likely to leave their payment information. And we'll talk about that more in the other webinar, but it truly is looking at your abandoned checkout rate is what you're looking at to measure whether or not there's some issues with that. And then also, you want to look at your business reviews. Do you have reviews on your website? Now, Google has reviews, and what you can do is you can copy those reviews and put them on your site, or there's several tools out there where you can also embed the Google reviews on your site. But you might want to do the same with your Facebook reviews or any other place that has reviews. So you may want to show that there to, again, give social proof that you are the expert at what you say you are. You can also show ratings of different choices of what they're purchasing. This will help put them at ease because we are purchasing virtually and they still don't want buyer remorse, so they do want to take a look at something. Maybe even look at how you present your product. If you can do a 360-degree angle where they can turn it around, maybe some websites they've even seen take it and you'll see whether or not they'll get the dimensions of the product, and you can do an overlay with your phone of your actual house and see, oh, does that really fit between the dresser and the nightstand? So again, think about your best shopper and what they need to be able to make a decision, right? How to look for Google Trends. Oh yes, Elba, thank you, great question. Let me go back to that because I've got a couple of questions on Google Trends. So let me just go back to that. You're going to go to g.co/trends. And then in here, you have a chance to search. So you're going to put in to search what you're looking for. Could be your business name, could be your competitor's business name, could be your industry, you're a veterinarian, could be Midland, Texas. I'm in Midland, Texas, and I want to know what Midland's talking about today because I want to make sure when I show up on social and do posts that I'm relevant and, again, fishing where the fish are, right? And now you can take a look and see even whatever the term is. Let's say you're looking for veterinarian. You don't even have to put Corpus Christi. You can go here and say the entire United States, or take the drop down and look at Corpus Christi, or maybe you want to look at Portland, Texas, which is next to Corpus. You want to get that specific. Now, it'll all depend on the size of the search. So as you get smaller and smaller, then maybe in the last hour, a lot of people in Portland, Texas haven't searched for that. But maybe in the last 3 months, so you might have to expand out the time if you're going for a smaller demographic or geographic area. Or let's say you're in a big topic and you're getting lots of thousands of different responses there in Google Trends, so you might need to shorten it or get more specific and say, let me look just at Texas, or let me look at, Houston, Texas. Let me get even more specific and look at Katy, Texas. Or maybe I'm going to get really specific and go to Louise or Wharton. So keep that in mind, that you can expand and contract it as much as you like. Okay. Let me see. To embed Google reviews in your site. There's lots of different tools, Janet. I can't recommend one or the other because I don't have a favorite. I use one on my site, but and it's just because of ease of use, but I can't say it's my favorite. How savvy is the general public regarding website protocol? Jewel, how savvy they are is they may not know the background, what's working, but they know whether they like it or not. If it doesn't load in 4 seconds or less, if they can't find their way around, if the links are too close and their big fat fingers can't click on the links, then they don't like the experience. If they can't check out without being a guest checkout and they have to fill out a long form, if they can't trust the payment because your site is wonky, things aren't aligned, the payment button's way over there, people won't leave their credit card number when it looks like it could be a site that's not credible. And when it doesn't look professional, they question whether or not it's credible, so they won't leave their credit card number. So the public knows what they don't like, and they'll go on to the next that they do like, because it's easy to find the next competitor or somebody else who has that product or service. Okay, let's go here to the next steps and resources. How do you feel about Squarespace? Oh, I love it, Ellen. I love it. It's easy. So Squarespace, WordPress, Blogger, Shopify, BigCommerce, all of those, Wix, they're all what's known as content management services, CMSs. And I love all of them because most of them integrate with Google Analytics. They're easy to navigate. Again, it depends on what you want them to do. Some are really, really good at e-commerce. I don't use Squarespace for e-commerce, but I love Shopify for e-commerce. Some are better for building your personal brand. I love WordPress for personal brand. And there's a lot of functionality that you can bring in with WooCommerce, connecting with WordPress, because WordPress owns WooCommerce. You can connect the two together, and now you do have an e-commerce site. So again, it depends on what you want the site to do. Remember, we go back to the goals of the site. For you, your next step is to make sure you set up those goals and to make sure that you're testing whether or not your site loads in 4 seconds or less and fixing what is stopping it from doing that. Start looking at Google Trends, really get a good understanding of what those keywords are that people search for, what they're looking for. It tells you in Trends, it's not telling you the identity of people, so you're getting all the information that Google has on how people are searching, and it's in real time. You can also make sure you're trustworthy on your site when people want to pay. Does it look professional? Does it look like this is a site that I could leave my information, and is it secure? And do you use secure checkout tools? Okay. Any other questions before we finish up? I do want to share with you Google Primer. If you want to learn more, because I saw a lot of you were asking for links for tutorials, then I encourage you to download Google Primer. There's a lot of lesson plans in there and videos. You can find it at g.co/primer. It's an app. So it is available in the App Store for iOS or iPhone, and then also in the Google Play Store for Android. So you can go in here, and once you download it, you no longer need internet access, but there's a whole bunch of different lessons in here that walk you through how to do many of the things that I was talking about today. Plus, we also have Google On Air that's available every quarter, available to you. It's the topics that are relevant right now. So look for that and make sure that you sign up for that. You can also get recordings of that. And of course, you heard me say earlier, your Google partner, the SCORE chapter that invited you, has access to all these topics and more in the entire Google team. Reach out to them because they're there for you and they want to help you. So let me see what questions people have as we finish up. We're 1 minute before time. Do you like Wix or Shopify better for e-commerce? Tina, I've not worked with Wix enough to say, I mean, I've heard good things about it, but I'm a Shopify girl because, you know, I have 14 Shopify shops and I know it like the back of my hand. I do like the ease of it. So but again, I don't know your target audience. So I would look at both with a criteria and see if they match to what you're looking for. I am going over that again in a later webinar today where I talk about selling online with e-commerce. I will start with Google Analytics. Will you need our email to be able to send the presentation? No, Karen, you already put it in here, so it will remember it and it'll send it to you tomorrow. I would love to hear, as you're asking questions, what's the one thing you're going to take away from today, just like Karen did. She's going to start with Google Analytics that you're going to apply, because while I believe, while there's a myth out there that knowledge is power, I do think it is a myth. Applied knowledge is power. My friend says it best, Joe, when she says knowledge is knowing that the tomato is a fruit. Applied knowledge is not putting it in the fruit salad. So what will you apply? What's the one thing you're going to put on your to-do list now and take away from this to make sure you get the most bang for your buck from today? All right, let's see. Where do you recommend getting Shopify themes? I actually use the basic Shopify theme, but there are a lot of themes out there. I can't recommend one or the other because I'm not loyal to one or the other. I wish I could help you more with that. You might want to ask your SCORE chapter though, because they may have favorites that they've worked with. Let's see. Start with Google Analytics. Wonderful, Raj. I'm a service business. Will analytics and trends help me with a website? Absolutely. I work with service businesses all the time, and they use trends and analytics all the time because you still need to know what are people looking at in your website for you to be able to get business from them and for them to do business with you. Where are they going next? If they leave your site, what are they looking at and what are they leaving for? And then also you need to know what they're talking about, what's relevant, because you're not going to show up in search. And if you don't show up in the first 30 page searches, you don't exist. All right. Search Console, absolutely. A lot of people are saying they have a lot of homework here about connecting everything. Really, you do it, and it will help you in your search results. I know we need to work on completing the recommendation to speed up my site speed. Yay, Kendra. Setting my goals, absolutely. Set those goals. It's just going to help you make some decisions without you having to reinvent them every time. I will look at Primer for lessons, absolutely. And buy a new iPhone. I understand that too. Not encouraging you to do that, but if you feel you need to do that, do that. Use the tips in Google Sites, absolutely. Connecting all to Google. How to sign up for the e-commerce webinar later today. Yes, if you will go to KLI, let me see if I can bring it up here. Hold on just a second. This is going to be easier than me saying it. Let me look here. I don't have my words on. I've got to look past the camera. Sorry, guys. All right, let me bring it up here. If I can type, we would all be good. All right. All right, if you will go here, this is my site, KLI brand. Oops, I just lost it. Hold on, bring it back. There we go. But you're going to go to klibrand.com/events, and you will see these are all free webinars here. So you can sign up for Sell Online with E-commerce Tools. Okay. Hope that answers your question. I'm going to leave that up there for a minute so you can get that down and screenshot that. Yes, Lee, I hope that answers your question. Essia, I'm preparing to build a website. All this information is helpful. Sheila, great. Awesome. All right, we are 3 minutes past time. So if you need to get down the road, I understand. Please stay safe, stay healthy. And I want to say thank you to our SCORE chapters that help make this possible. SCORE Austin, SCORE Fort Worth, SCORE Dallas, SCORE Houston. Thank you so much for being here and supporting your small businesses. I am such a fan of you guys because I love small businesses getting support. I wouldn't have started my business without it, having support. But then if you've got questions, I'm going to hang out here. Whoever wants to hang out, feel free to, but I don't want to stop you if you need to get down the road, okay? Let's see. What's helpful to know about the suite of information available through Google? Awesome. Please type in the question box, please. Oh, yeah, I will. Let me do that real quick. Hold on. Take it off from here. Let me respond to you. Slash events. All right. And I will send that out. Okay, perfect. Where's a good place to resource for a total rookie who knows nothing? Okay, for a total rookie that knows nothing, I would encourage you to go to the YouTube channel for Google and look there for anything about website design and website creation. I would also encourage you to reach out to your SCORE chapter. Reach out to them because they have specific resources and access to the Google team. They have a bunch of resources as a Google partner that they can support you with right then and there, and it could be more at their place, but at your pace, okay? Or even remotely. I know many are doing that way too now. I don't have time to redesign my site. I understand that. Time is always fleeting, right? Please answer the question about using hashtags on your Google Business account. No, hashtags, no need to put it on your Google Business account to use it there, but hashtags are still relevant, as you know, on Facebook, but you got to keep them 4 or 5. Instagram, keep it down to 4 on Instagram because they are penalizing if you use more hashtags than that on Instagram. And but on Google, no. You don't need it there. In fact, I never use it. In fact, you could get dinged on your Google Business account if you do a post using hashtags and links. You want to use the buttons that are provided. Call me, learn now, visit our site, shop online. Is Google Site Kit the same as what you recommended today? So are you talking about Google Sites or are you talking about the Google Marketing Kit? Because there's a Google free marketing kit that links to your Google business profile, and it'll make social post graphics out of your reviews. Is that, because I've not heard it called Google Site Kit before, so I'm thinking you're talking about the marketing kit, but just clarify with me. All right. Oh, absolutely, Stacy, you're very welcome. Any tips for setting up an online subscription service? Wow, there's a lot of subscription services out there. Jason, I've used Bold, but Bold is migrating to Bold 2.0, so it's a little messy. I see a lot of people utilize Recharge and they love it. I've never used it. I'm looking at it now just because we are doing the Bold 1.0 to Bold 2.0 conversion, and it's a little bit messy. I'm going to toss out the